Hey, welcome back everyone. So in this video I want to show you a technique for some of these leaves. And this particular one here, this is all made with custom brushes that I put together through Clip Studio. And what I love about Clip Studio's brushes is that they can become opaque, so they retain the line work flood filled, and that's so much quicker for layering and for colorization. Just fantastic the way they work, and not to mention the ribbon feature, which is great for things like vines and stuff like that. But this is just something I'm working on. I'll link in the description box below if you want to learn more. But the other thing I wanted to show you is how to make something like this. And so I just really locked into this feature, learned this feature. I guess I knew it was there, but I never really messed with it a lot. So what this is one particular brush, and first done with a grayscale. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and I think it's a pretty neat effect, and you get this nice line art version of it. And you can do this with any sort of grayscaling. So Clip Studio is just a super powerful program, but let me show you what I'm talking about here. So with this particular one, and you could probably do this with all sorts of brushes, but I'm going to use this one that I made that is really just a silhouette of a leaf pattern, right? Like a five, six, sorry, I can't count. 6 leaves. Still waking up here, folks. And then just set to like a bit of a repetitive, I got it repetitive, but I also have it flipping. But it's not that big of a deal. It's a pretty simplistic brush. It's not like the other ones I was talking about where I made all these other ones that, I'll show you a couple of these just real quick. And if you get the set, you got to leave it to actually black on the foreground. I did it in reverse, but it's not a big deal. And you can colorize it as well. So you've got these brushes that, have all sorts of little effects to them, line art and stuff kind of built in. And let me show you another cool one real quick. Any of these really, I made a bunch of them. And they're just nice for generating some quick foliage, right? And then like I said, you can even colorize them. It's probably too bright of a green, what am I thinking? Something like this. All right, so there's just a ton of opportunity for quick foliage with those. So, but again, that's not really the purpose of today's video. Forgive me, I'm just trying to share with you some of the behind the scenes of what I'm working on. Plus, hopefully it'll generate ideas from you guys. Like if you got any questions, ideas, I love that back and forth, the camaraderie and the, it just stimulates ideas for me as I do this stuff. Because I work in a basement all by myself, and it gets lonely. It gets lonely, folks. All right, anyways, enough of my problem. So basically, if you take this brush and you don't have to have it set to pressure sensitivity. I also made it where if you just push hard enough, you get black, right? But what's neat is you can use something that's grayscaled or has tonal value to it. And there are some benefits to that. Like, with black and white, you're just doing this, right? And you're eventually getting the shapes you want. And there's a lot you can do with that. And it's already ready for line art, right? But sometimes it's easier to visualize form and value, form through value. Various shapes and forms start to read better as we introduce value. That's why value studies are so important. Sometimes you lock into certain things, a lot of aspects of the design and the forms that you just don't see as well with line art. Some people see it better than others, and then some people not so much, and then probably good days and bad days, right? So there's times I do value studies when I can't work through silhouettes or, I'm just something's not clicking and the shapes aren't kind of falling together. So then I might do some value studies. So anyways, you do a bunch of this, go back and forth, get yourself some nice little depth and variation. Maybe you want some that breaks away from the shapes. You don't get too repetitive with the overall shapes that you're seeing here. Some big, some small, and just keep maneuvering around. It also helps. Well, here, you know what? I've got one more quick one that I can throw in here. It also generally helps if you have maybe a tree shape in there. So now you got a little bit more of a reference point. Where was that? Right here. And so just, play around with this. Scale down the brush, whatever you got to do there, right? But the goal here is to get these highs and lows so that you essentially get something that looks more organic. And it does take a little bit of work on the other side of things. So basically these brushes can be a time saver, but since they're so repetitive, well, generally it really helps to mix up a couple brushes. So I'm going to make a couple different leaf patterns and maybe even blocked out shapes, because then what happens is you're able to incorporate some of the variation that you need to see. Because if it's too repetitive, then, it's sort of just, you saw that other scene. It's like it needs more hand-drawn elements and variation so that it's not so repetitive. But there's a lot of time saving there where you can hand draw over top and you can generate some other assets to bring it all together. Just a bit of back and forth there. So let's say that we got enough of the variation we're looking for here. We refined this enough, and we want to bring this to more of a line art version, which, it's grayscale. Most printing, you just utilize that. But say it doesn't match your art style as much, and you want a little bit more, again, something that matches the comic style. It's going to be more easily reproduced through printing and stuff like that. It's so easy to do in Clip Studio, which, again, is so impressive. You just go right over here. I don't need to do it to the tree. And I would draw like tree bark or maybe create another brush, but probably just draw it in. That's actually what I did right there. I just scribbled in some tree bark. So, do something like that as well. But then we're just going to focus on this part. You just simply go over here, right click, go to convert to lines and tones. I like to enable the preview. Whether or not this works might be a factor of your system resources, the RAM on your computer and stuff like that, processing power. But now what it does, it shows you a preview of what it's really going after and how it's encapsulating the gray and how it's, trying to grab line art through there. And you can play around with these sliders, say you want more of a highlight, more whites in there. You can get that in there. These various tones, right? And you can posterize, which I don't like on this particular one, but something like this. And then I think I would want, a little bit more. I'm trying to see more of the overall leaves. I don't know about on the edges though, and that's what it's doing. Yeah, actually I don't want that. A little bit darker on the edges. But whatever you pick here, you can play around with these sliders, right? See the variations that you get. A little too much, probably back up there. Yeah, and I'm still a bit of a novice with this tool, but I'm seeing just, a lot of potential, so I wanted to share it. And again, it can be used with any sort of grayscale brushes, but yeah, it's just sort of neat. Like, I just think that, I don't know, I'm constantly impressed by Clip Studio. Let me just put it that way. Like this software just smokes Photoshop in so many ways. For comic artists, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're somebody that leans more towards digital painting, no, I got to give it to Clip Studio for that too. Never mind. This is my favorite one to really paint in. So let's say that this is good. We could probably get in here and really learn the details a lot more, right? You can play around with that, but we'll just hit OK for now. And look at that, just some gorgeous dots. There's a bunch of dots, but it's just line art, right? It's all black and white now, and it looks killer, I think. So, like, to me, that's a really nice background effect, and you can play around with that. Obviously, lots of variations, and then you can keep painting through it and really tweak it. That's how I got to something like that. It's just basically, if I right click here, I can go to merge, select the layers, locks them all down. I can lock transparency, come over here and grab like a soft brush, set to, I'll start with multiply, grab some green there, some lovely green, and then just brush that through there. I don't know why my computer's slowing down, probably because I'm recording this. Colors up real nice, and then you can just play around with the variations that you're going to get here. Obviously multiply wherever you hit it again, it's going to get darker. Like I said, I'd want these very edge leaves to be pretty dark, except maybe the top, especially as I start to overlay it. I guess I'll glance over the top leaves with a bit of add glow. So I'll come up with something a little more yellow. It's grabbing the sunshine and go to, and actually I probably should have not colored the tree itself because I don't want to wash out the black there. So, but easy workaround of that, add a layer. You can always right click and go to layer settings, clip to layer below, and then anything I add to this layer will just drop into that one. And I can also use the blending modes to make sure I don't wash out any of this. But let's pick something just a little bit brighter. Let's try about there. I can use the same brush and brush back into the color. All right, so there's just all sorts of unique ways that you can bring this together. And then we can also use the blending modes. So if we go to here, hit the overlay, screen, add glow. All right, just a variety of techniques there. Let's see, does overlay look more natural? Hard light. That's kind of nice. Yeah, so anyways, a lot of times I sit here and kind of get lost in all the potential of these different things. But once you lock on to the thing that works, and you can just transfer that over through the rest of the scene. But at any rate, that's really it. It's just, I think that there's a lot of potential here. I wanted to share that with you. And I always have fun making these brushes and, again, seeing what you guys think. So let me know what you think, what you'd like to see more of in the future. Thanks so much for watching and for the support of the channel. As always, good luck with the art, and bye for now.